Oh, wow. TGIF. Welcome to the Mindcraft podcast. My name is Dr. Kimberly Quinn, and I'm super stoked with Giovanni, who's actually right there in his chair taking a snooze, to talk about 10 tips for drama busting during the holidays. And here's the good news. Even after the holidays are over, they will still work. So, number one, let go of expectations as much as possible. Expectations in general lead to disappointment. Whenever we're attached to external outcomes, we are therefore putting our happiness, our ability to be happy on all these uncontrollables out here. So that isn't going to work, right? Happiness is an inside job. We don't want to attach to having it be the perfect Christmas, which of course doesn't exist anyway, or that this has to go well, or that has to go well, or so-and-so has to be there, or the dinner comes out just so, and that everybody sits where they're supposed, all these things. We want to let go of that as much as possible. There are exceptions. Mostly it's good to let go of as many expectations as possible. Obviously, having expectations of a parent meeting a child's basic needs, that should be there. Other than that, though, and maybe some other few rare ones, really, it's much better, healthier, more enjoyable, more pleasant in life in general to shift out of expectations and replace them with appreciation. Just replace the space, with gratitude and appreciation. As again, there are exceptions, but for the most part, this works really well. And I'll tell you that one of the gifts, and I mean this sincerely, of growing up with two alcoholic parents is I learned at a young age not to have expectations. And I mean it sincerely. It's a positive. It's a real positive because I've gone through my whole life like that, thinking it was normal. And it's whenever goes well, or so-and-so shows up unexpectedly and you really love that person, like that person. It was just always a bonus, like the sauce on the sundae. So as much as possible, that's what we want to do. Number two, do a mental declutter with win. What's important now? I borrowed that from Greg McGowan, author of Essentialism, because when we get, overwhelmed, if we want to outsmart the overwhelm, what we want to do is kind of control our in general, to control our thinking, because it's neurologically impossible to feel overwhelmed without thinking overwhelmed thoughts first. That's how it is. Thoughts come first, feelings second, and that's how it goes. So what's important now, the acronym WIN, is when you're feeling that overwhelm, I got to do this and bake the cookies and get them, and I got to go to the church, and I got to help at the soup kitchen, and I've got to get the Christmas cards out, and I've got to get everything ready for Hanukkah, and everybody is flying in, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Stop yourself. Just stop and breathe. And then think to yourself, what's important now? Because here's the reality. We can only do one thing at a time. The brain can only do one thing at a time. When you hear people say, oh, she's so good at multitasking, or he's so good at multitasking, that is a big, fat, cognitive, psychological myth. There's no such thing as multitasking. It's crap. Really, what's happening is a quick shift in attention because the brain can only do one thing at a time. And when we trim it down to what's important now, wherever you're focusing your energy, right, where the energy goes, where the focus goes, the energy flows. Whatever it is you choose to do is going to go well, or much better than it would have. So when you feel that overwhelm, what's important now? Okay, next. Try not to take things personally. I live by this one as much as I can, right? And because, 90+% of what anybody says to you isn't about you. It's going through their filter. We are all the main characters on our own stage, and that's how it is. So whatever they're running through their mind, even if your name's in whatever they're saying, and they've got all kinds of things that they're saying that you did or said or felt or whatever, it's still all going through their perception. Whether they were an only child or came from a litter of kids, whether they grew up in an urban environment, a rural environment, whether they had one parent or two or four, or whether they grew up wealthier or in a lower, compromised economic situation, socioeconomic situation, whether they were straight up, all of that feeds in. Never mind all the neurological differences we can have with mental health, with all of it. So it's all going through this schema, which is very Vygotsky, if you're a psychology person, and it's running through like a colander. Everything, all the information we take in all day kind of runs through a colander. And we all have our own colander, just like you do with pasta. And it's what we're giving back to you, what stays in is what our brain is keeping, which might not be what somebody else's brain is keeping. Very important to remember that. So try not to take things personally. Next, this rolls right into try not to make assumptions the best you can. It's also important not to beat ourselves up when we do, and here's why. The brain is lazy. Even if you're not lazy, the brain is lazy. The brain takes shortcuts like making assumptions and judgments, and which is obviously a prejudice happens, and we're taking this shortcut and judging an entire group of people based on how they look, what they wear, how much ink is on their skin, whatever. And obviously that goes to a bad place. Here's the thing though, the brain is trying to take shortcuts for efficiency in general, which usually does not work out well for us. Just like we said with prejudice or other things, jumping to conclusions in a conversation, whatever. So try your best to catch yourself, because what we want to do is slow that stuff down into our system 2 thinking. System 1 is that knee-jerk, reactive, impulsive part of the brain that just is meant trying to be efficient, like I said. We want to slow that down into system 2 thinking, more Sherlock Holmesy, more taking in the observations and slowing it down. And this will help us to react versus respond. We don't want to react, we want to respond. So when we slow that down, take a breather. If all else fails, duck into a bathroom. Nobody's going to bother you there, hopefully. And breathe a bit, then respond as much as you can. Set the bar, do your best. Okay, so he said, let go of as much as possible. 2 columns. So we have the let it go column, which is hopefully way longer than to have a conversation or make a stand column. Sometimes, obviously, if somebody says something blatantly awful, racial or homophobic or anti-Semitic or just plain cruel, that's not the same. Then that person needs to be spoken to. You may even need to do some kind of consequence, whatever that might be. It might be leaving or just moving on to the other side of the room, talking to somebody else, whatever. That, hopefully, is not the case most of the time. So we can let go of all this little crap. Just whether the hors d'oeuvres came out 2 minutes too late, whether so-and-so forgot to bring whatever and she told you 3 times she would, or, whatever. So what? It's little baby weenies. Who cares? Or whatever it is. Let go of as much as possible. Even if somebody's snarky, we don't ever know what's going on, whatever battle they have going on in their head. I'm not saying give them a pass either. Though if there's a range of a little snarky to take a stand or have a conversation because you have to, there's the whole here-ish area that's probably in the let it go column. Way, way longer than the deal with it column. Good. And you know what? All that space you'll create up just leaves, it's filled in with peace. Whenever we create cognitive space with letting whatever go we can, it comes back, it fills in with peace. So then I have to picture your mind, you're in here, in your cabeza as a beautiful studio apartment. We got a nice couch, and you got a flat screen, and you've got maybe a little table right here with some snacks, some Oreos, some pretzels, M&Ms. It is the holidays, we can say that. And when you're not letting go of something, and you're sticking, like super glued to somebody said yesterday, 10 minutes ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, you're reliving all that stuff. Well, Christmas of 2008, she said, he said, nah, 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 nah. Here's the thing, I'm not saying it's not legit and somebody was, whatever. They could have been horribly, blatantly abusive even, but here's the thing. They took all that, they affected you way back then. They took from you, in a sense, way back then. Reliving all that stuff and hanging on to it with a big old heavy-duty grudge means they're living rent-free, picture like the studio apartment, on your couch, watching your flat screen, eating your snacks, paying no rent. So that means in 2024, they are, if you watch the video later, whatever the current time is, you are allowing them to live rent-free in your head and to take even more from you than they did yesterday, last week, 2 years ago, or in the year 2000, whatever. So you want to let go and let go of grudges. They're no good. Okay, so next we have embrace the power of silence. Silence is so powerful. And I'm not saying, well, there might be a time for that actually. In general, it's called stonewalling when you actually do a silent treatment with somebody, which is one of the core four of the horsemen, which in a marriage or long-term relationship situation is one of the four that leads you to a breakup. So I don't want to encourage that. In general, though, in a healthier way, then usually point proving via the silent treatment doesn't work. I'm not saying there are exceptions, but for the high majority of the time, not good. It is good though, however, if you're in a conversation where somebody's just, what are you doing with your life? What are you, kind of, to just say, be totally quiet and just let them finish what's so awkward. Smile. That really will annoy them back. We're saying, well, how come you're not doing this? I thought you were going to graduate school. Now you're going to, now you're, when you're settling for that partner, I thought you got rid of him a long time ago. Just be quiet and smile. Watch how it goes, because you act kind of as a conversational mirror when you're just quiet. Not the same thing as like, storming around with pursed lips, giving a silent treatment. It's not the same what I'm talking about here. Just in that moment, let it be awkward. It's awkward for them more than it is for you. And if it keeps going like that, it can eventually, when the silence kind of goes, usually like a bell curve, it kind of goes, oh, totally awkward. It starts to be a little less awkward. And they're still probing into your life. After all that wonderfully awkward silence is there, it's okay to say, why do you ask? And then be quiet again. Don't fill it in. Just be quiet again. Because then that's a super clear Windex mirror of, you're being an ass right now, and I'm being a class act taking the high road, and hopefully this kind of flipped the script on it. Okay, next, daily dose of solitude, at least 15 minutes. Giovanni and I are fortunate enough to be able to go out to the woods here, but if you're in a major city and you've got a park, there's nature basically everywhere. Even in the middle of Manhattan, there's Central Park, right? So try your best to get out there. And if you don't have, actual forest and trees or a park, at least get outside. You're still breathing fresh air. If it's snowing or if you have palm trees or whatever, get out there and really have some you time without that freaking phone. Turn it off. Leave it off your body. So you're not feeling it vibrate or ring or notifying bing, 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 bing. That's not solitude. Solitude is technology free in at least 15 minutes. And Tony Robbins says it a lot. If you don't have, I think he says, what does he say, 17 or 15? And it doesn't matter. If you don't have 15 minutes to call your own in a day, you don't have a life. That's the fact, Jack. I don't know how else to tell you. So hopefully you can go out for longer than that, but we need, no matter how extroverted you are, on the scale of introverted to extrovert, I'm like here. So I am flying high, charging my batteries while I'm with a ton of people, or I'm presenting. I'm, even virtually, actually not exactly the same, but it's all the engagement. Versus somebody who's introverted tends to charge their batteries reading a good book, being with one person, maybe two really, really good friends. So I'm over here and I need solitude. We all do. We're wired to need solitude. We need engagement, and then we need breathers. I mean, it's balance, right? So you want to get your daily dose of solitude at least 15 minutes. And again, if all else fails, dip into the bathroom. People with hopefully won't bother you there. That's a safe place to just go and park yourself and gather your thoughts, whether you're at a holiday work thing and somebody's annoying you, or you want to dip in for a positive reason, you're just filled with gratitude, or you're at a family thing and somebody, Aunt Tessie, who shows up every year and annoys you, you can predict it and duck into the bathroom that way. Okay, next, number 9. Remember that Christmas will not make you fat. So, or Hanukkah or any other, or Thanksgiving, we passed that already, but Christmas isn't going to make you fat. So I would say don't worry about it. Let it go. Because I believe it's 3,500, you need to eat an extra 3,500 calories. Think of, that's like, I don't even know, because I'm not a big calorie counter, but that's got to be a couple of apple pies with a ton of ice cream. I don't know. And that's on top of like the regular amount of calories to take in. So even if you do that for one day, 1 pound, you'll take it right back off. It's stupid to worry about it. Dumb. On Christmas Day, eat it all. Christmas Eve too, eat it all. Or it's Hanukkah, or you do some other sort of holiday. And don't do that thing with you, because and with your mind, because the brain loves patterns. So if you latch into a scarcity mindset, which is what that is, I can't have this, I got to watch that, no eggnog for me, I'll have the apple pie without the ice cream, thanks. No, have the ice cream. It's Christmas. Who cares? Or Christmas Eve, or if you're, whatever you're doing, it's your special day. Who cares? It ain't going to make a difference. Think about it this way. Forget a year from now. Surely isn't going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference a week from now, and it's not going to make a difference tomorrow. It just isn't. Your body will go right back to the 3 ounces you went over. It doesn't make a difference. So just indulge yourself and be with family, chosen family, friends, yourself. If you have I have a friend who does that. He has like his own little ritual, dodges holidays. Who cares? Do you. Gotta do you. And eat the freaking cake and pie and every cookie you want. That's it. And all the little truffles. Lastly, I'm a big fan of this one, is embrace your chosen family. Chosen family is so important. And during the holidays, family is actually marketed. We've all seen it. The airbrush pictures, everybody's smiling, nobody's kicking each other under the table, and it's all, look seemingly perfect. And I will tell you, Ann Schaaf said this, perfection is self-abuse of the highest order, sorry. You're better off dropping the F-bomb. Perfect doesn't exist, except for, the creator of all things. Last any of us knew, it does not exist. Perfect does not exist. It's all airbrush. It takes a staff of probably, who even knows, 30, 40 people to pull together one magazine ad like that, or commercials even more. It just isn't reality. You throw a bunch of human beings together in a room, even if they like each other usually, you're gonna, just like you throw a bunch of cars out in the world, eventually you're gonna have a fender bender. It's just statistical. Eventually somebody's like bumper cars. Somebody's gonna bump somebody eventually. So just know that, and also, and if you do have a toxic family, because all families are gonna have something going on, because that's just the state of it. Like for me, for example, I grew up with two abusive alcoholic parents, and I knew when I was younger I was gonna eventually grow up and sort of create and find my own chosen family. So I kind of started that naturally as a little kid when I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't have words for it or anything. I just started to seek out good people who I felt safe with, who I loved and they loved me, who I brought them joy and they brought me joy. A lot of personal growth there, and all the good feels. And actually, the high majority of them are still in my life now. And then create your own family, whether it's with a partner, my wonderful husband and 5 amazing kids, or whether you create your family, without all that, and you create your own family with who you love, who loves you, who brings you joy, who you bring joy. And there are no parameters, no rules for it. It's just all about the love, who you feel safe and good with, and who you feel filled up when you're around them. And that's it. And if anybody says, oh, blood is thicker than water, that drives me freaking nuts. That is actually, I'm not saying everybody who says it is a narcissist. Please hear me when I say that. I just know, if you ever watch Dr. Ramani on YouTube, she likes to say that she's a narcissist expert. And some narcissists really like to say that. It's just a way to get you to question everything. Like, oh, they're not as important as we are. Well, maybe they're more important than you are. Maybe you're, a horrible human being to me or to whoever else, and maybe they're not, whoever you grew up with, just, they doing the best they can. When I don't even want to get into judging anyone, but it wasn't a good fit for you, and it wasn't healthy for you. And so you chose to make your own family, and that blood is thicker than water thing is crap, absolute crap. You can create your own family, and they're every bit as important, if not more important, than your family of origin, given whatever your situation is. Think about if somebody's adopted, a couple, let's say that they, having trouble having kids, or they're a same-sex couple and can't have kids the traditional way, and they get on a list to go get a child here in the United States or somewhere in another country. Think about how much they have love for that child they don't even have yet. It's also expensive to go out of their way so much to have that baby, so they can just watch her grow and watch him play and watch him do all the funny things kids do, and their hearts are just filled with love for this child they don't even have yet. Think about that. Telling me that isn't as important, if not more important, than a child born into a couple who don't treat them well. That's so ridiculous. So there's the logic. I don't need logic personally. I think you got to do you. And if that involves creating your own family in whatever way works for you, you do it. And so that's it. Let's just recap. Let go of expectations as much as possible. Do a mental declutter with what's important now. Try not to take things personally. Try not to make assumptions. Ooh, we forgot number 5. Set the bar, do your best. I love that one. That was meant to be, because I believe in meant to be. That's a good way to wind up. Maybe I'll change that. Because I think of a limbo bar, like in college. Hello, can you go? Setting the bar, do your best, is a bar you can always reach. Always, always, always reach. Because you can adjust it. Like when you wake up one day, you hit the ground running, you had a good sleep, you had your OJ, everything went well with the family, the partner, the kids, whatever your life context is. Versus you wake up, you're hungry, angry, sick, or tired like a 2-year-old. Well, it's going to be 2 different bests, right? So set the bar to your best is number 5. 6, let go of as much as possible, different from expectations. This is all the rest of it. And the column for let it go should be way, way, way longer than the have a conversation, make a stand column. 7, embrace the power of silence. 8, get your daily dose of solitude, at least 15 minutes, preferably 30. Something about 30 minutes gives me a real boost. And then sometimes longer, but 30 is really, I think, where it is. Daily dose of, we did daily dose of solitude. We did that. Oh, I forgot to, the embrace the power of silence. That was actually 7. Daily dose of solitude is number 8. Number 9, remember that Christmas will not make you fat, I'm sure. And 10, the importance of chosen family. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. And I wish you all the best from Northern Vermont. Merry, Merry.